And we is live.
Are we though? Are we officially live?
We are
So he
officially
says.
live.
Okay. Well then, what it do, snackers and snackettes? It's your boy Gage, Jokes Center in the building. We have a special guest tonight for Loading Snacks Weekly. Mr. Jason Lennox is joining us.
Hey guys.
We are definitely going to talk to him. J. Robert Deans, Uncanny Nerd.
Marcus.
Building.
I see you all in the chat. How are you? What it do? Hope everyone is well. You are now watching Loading Snacks Weekly, where we get together once a week and we talk about things that are happening in pop culture. And today, yes, Alfonso, what's up, man? Again, we are joined by Mr. Jason Lennox. Jason, how are you?
Guys, I'm doing great. I feel smarter from just our talk before the show now that I know what a loading snack is. I literally smarter now that I know.
Right.
So when I catch my kids playing Animal Crossing, I can ask them if they have a loading snack, right? But there's not much loading.
Well, they won't know what it is yet either, but we're getting there. That's the whole point.
Okay. Right.
We'll make it so that they know what that is. Doug, what's going on? Listen, Heather, how are you? Marcus.
What up, chat family?
You are not
J. Robert
kaiju fan.
Deans. You have not.
J. Robert Deans.
Are you surprised? You act like you're shocked.
It's not the shock. That's just like a disappointment right there.
I mean, just binge it. You know what I mean? Like, just binge it. Don't even, Greg, what's up, man? All right, so here's what I want to do. Let's start by getting some background info on you, Jason.
Okay.
Please tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then let's get into talking about your new Kickstarter. So
I am an artist when I'm not being a dad or at my full-time job, and I've been making comic books and art projects on a professional level for about 10 years now, and I've made 10 books up to this point, and currently making my 11th. I have done big and small freelance projects. I do comic conventions back when we had Comic-Cons.
Yeah.
I've done work for a movie about role-playing games. I did work the other year for Virgil Abloh, the fashion clothing guy. So I've had a real eclectic group of clients, but I just like to make things of my own. I do horror art, science fiction art, pinup art, and comic books. So, I mean, I know you guys because I met you at Baltimore Comic-Con several times over the years. We've all had great talks in person, and you guys have reviewed and looked at my Lords of the Cosmos series as that's come out over the years at my booth. So I've been out trying to do my very best to be out like a man about town and telling everyone I can to, check out my latest book. It's my 11th Kickstarter, Lords of the Cosmos issue 4. So that's really what I'm going to do.
Tell us what Lords of the Cosmos is. I know you have an elevator pitch. We're not in an elevator. You don't have to do it elevator pitch style specifically. But tell us what Lords of the Cosmos is.
So when I was a kid, right, like some of the things that I loved the most was Saturday morning cartoons and after school weekday syndicated stuff. And the things that I liked the most are things like the old Filmation Flash Gordon, Thundar the Barbarian, Thundercats, right, Masters of the Universe. These kind of science fiction, barbarian, kind of over-the-top villains, crazy heroes, and these kind of bizarre settings. That's always appealed to me as a reader and as a kid. I'm 45. It still appeals to me as an adult. So about 6 years ago, two friends of mine that were writers, Dennis and Jason, got together, and we said, why don't we do a comic based on that genre, like science fiction barbarians? So we started designing things, and we kind of made a world-building project together and made Lords of the Cosmos. And we've just been knocking out anthology books. So there's more than just me doing work on them. There's been a bunch of artists over the years. So each issue has a main story that I work on that's continuous. And then there's little offshooting stories that explore this kind of weird, cyborg talking animal magic, fighting science fiction, fantasy world that's going on all around to try to build that out. So if you like those toys in the 80s, the big over-the-top, brightly colored swords and light-up action figure types, if you like those cartoons, if you're like, oh man, like, Jason, do you remember Black Star from Filmation, or do you remember, this or that, Silverhawks, like all the stuff that we're making we're trying to appeal to the people that when I say those names, if you're like, oh, I remember that. Mighty Warbots, right? Another kind of obscure 80s cartoon. Like,
absolutely.
That's the feel and the style. So if I'm saying these things and you're like, I get that, then this book, you'd probably say, you know what? I like that too. Like, that's the kind of stuff that you like. It's a flavor, it's a taste, it's a genre. So Lords of the Cosmos, the 4th issue. We've tried to up the stakes. It's another 44-page book. It's got 4 stories in it. And it's in your face. We got some really talented artists from all over the world to knock out some really incredible art. Every single page is chock full of action and, again, cyborgs. There's a gigantic turtle that's a battleship that attacks a beach, right? Like a battleship.
Yeah.
There's a cyborg that has to eat human flesh to survive because his body's been taken away. Now he's the size of a tank. There's a talking cat and a wizard, right? It's just fun stuff, and even in this issue, if you guys remember, right, when you were younger, right, the big networks had their Saturday morning cartoon rollouts. They would do print ads, like in your comic books. The newspaper would say the CBS, morning lineup this week. This fall is going to be these shows. So we did a Saturday morning TV lineup with if Lords of the Cosmos would have been a Saturday morning show with all the network shows from a pretend network. So there's a whole network lineup of your cartoon shows. Every issue we have a guy, Eric D, who builds a toy from the book. So this issue we have Mordanix in the back of the book in a big blister package, right? So this big cyborg is in the back as a toy. The inside cover has his action figure stats, his speed, his strength. You remember that stuff. So you're like, oh wow, it's what I remember that.
Yep. That's what the back of every box had on it when you were buying toys as a kid. Like, one of my favorite things about buying Transformers as a child was getting the little red decoder that came in it and using it to see their power levels on the back of the box. Like, that's what that was part of the fun. Was you don't even know how powerful this Transformer is.
With me, it was with G.I. Joe, how like behind the character on the plastic cardboard, they had like a card you can cut out that had like all that type of information on it.
And all that stats and stuff like that. Early, the original He-Man stuff all had a mini comic book. You know what I mean? Inside of them, that kind of a thing. Like, it's that full-on throwback. If you guys, for all of you who are watching in the chats, I mean, Jason, I don't know if you can see the chat, but there are people in there like, yo, that's my era, 80s baby. They're like, yeah, like. And
I'm afraid to touch my phone because it was so hard to get it going. I want to see the chat, and then I'll just go away.
Nah, it's fine. Listen, we put a link in the chat to the Kickstarter directly.
I'm gonna throw it back in there one more time.
And J. Robert Deans has also put your website in the chat. It's again, we got a really good group of folks that jump in our chat, and I think you're speaking our language is nostalgia and making fun of people who don't have our nostalgia. So joke.
Stop it.
Listen,
hey,
I saw you nodding your head, Jokes.
But I
know you don't know a lot of what he was saying.
But here's the thing, I do. Now, whereas I didn't watch them when they originally came out. That would just be insanely impossible. But obviously, I've gotten a lot of the replays when they came on, them reruns. Especially like Cartoon Network, Toonami, like they did get a bunch of those and they aired, and that was my time, and that was when I picked them up. But
we officially had, you're right, Doug, we had 80s era toys and cartoons are the best era of toys and cartoons.
Facts.
We had cartoons that were about toys so they could sell toys, and we had toys that could kill you. That were like made out of real
die-cast
we talked
metal.
About this. Like,
Die-cast.
Real die-cast metal.
Like, you throw a transformer at somebody, that's it, you get a charge.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly right. You're talking concussions.
Hey,
right.
I finally got that with Power Rangers when they started making them the Legacy line. They started making them Jones out of metal. Now I got some weapons here in my house.
I want you to know, I can see my original Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain from where I'm sitting. Like they are in front of me.
Right there.
The thing about
I can see them.
They made a handgun. Like he turned into a legitimately real looking like 9mm handgun.
Megatron was absolutely a handgun.
And you're like you're making a handgun for kids.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because
we're the best.
We're from the era of Megatron as a pistol and Intertech automatic firing water guns that look like real guns and laser tag guns that were black that were getting kids killed. So that which is why now guns have to be colored and bright and Nerf Nerf runs the toy gun world. Listen, I was gonna bring this up. I was looking at the Kickstarter earlier, and the Kickstarter is insanely close to meeting the goal.
Yes.
Hey, Robert Deans just posted in the chat that the Kickstarter is only $411 away from goal with 26 days left to go, and that is awesome.
That's amazing.
So listen again, for all of you who are in the chat, anybody who if this even sounds remotely interesting to you, I implore you to go check that out. Like jump in, go check out Lords of the Cosmos. Know that if you jump in and you support this, that there are other books to also go and support. For sure. Jason is an awesome guy, and he reached out to me a couple of months ago to let me know this was a thing that was coming. And we were going to try to set up an interview, and things just kind of, COVID. Things are happening. But, with the release of the Kickstarter earlier this week, I thought it would be a good idea to just reach out to Jason and have him on the show. So I want to thank you for coming on the show and joining us, Jason. And now you're only $391.
Yep.
People are going to the Kickstarter. This is great.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yes, the first Voltron was dope. Again, this not my first Voltron, but definitely have members. Now I will do this, and feel free to sound off in the chat. Lions or cars? I'll accept no other options.
Lions.
I gotta admit, I was kind of a car fan. I like
really?
the car trend. Yeah.
I mean, listen, in the 80s, right? Like, if you were into cars, it's hard not to be into.
Hey, look, I'm kind of a car guy a little bit, so I like the cars, but my heart was always with the Lions, though.
Here's my thing. For me, the Autobots were my cars. I didn't need, you know what I mean? Like, so that was my thing. And my introduction to Voltron, they were Lions, and that's what I liked. And that was the first set of toys I got. And when I got all 5 of those and put them together and had a toy that was then bigger than any set of Transformers I had, Voltron wins.
I'll tell you my Transformers story is the movie came out in 1986, so I was 11.
Yeah.
And my mom took me to the movie theater in Lancaster called the Dutch Wonderland Theater to see it. And so we walked in.
Dutch Wonderland? I haven't been to Dutch Wonderland in so long.
Well,
that was one of my favorite places growing up, though.
We went. You remember the burlap sack
the slide? Absolutely. Yeah.
So we go to see the film, and again, pre-internet era, you just walk in to see the film. And if you remember, Megatron, is killing people or killing Autobots, and then he really murders Prime. My mom said the kids were in the theater crying, and she said you stood up and you cheered for Megatron. And she said parents were staring at me and giving me the stink eye because the kids were crying. You stood up and cheered and made me look really bad at the theater.
Oh man, that's gold.
Oh, I love it.
You remember like a bad parent?
Oh, I love it.
You were cheering for the bad
parent.
Yeah. And it was so crazy that they allowed that film to be made because I forget where I heard it, but I guess the MPA was like, oh, they're robots, they're not people. You can do whatever you want to. So the writers were like, oh, it's kill, 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 and murder, and all these horrible deaths. But kids, you remember? I mean, from seeing those shows, those characters were very relatable.
That's exactly right.
The Autobots were very caring and loving, and they were like well-written characters with good voice actors. So you kind of felt connected to, Ironhide, Optimus Prime, Jazz. They all seemed very real.
Absolutely.
Real
they
characters.
were also the same voices as we heard for the characters that were human characters in G.I. Joe. Like they were the same actors and actresses. And, look, again, those toys, those shows were made to sell toys. That's what it is. So they killed off all the original Autobots from that original season so they could sell new toys.
Sell more toys.
That's really what it was. We need to introduce a bunch of new Autobots, and rather than come up with some cleverly written way to just be like, oh, well, we brought more Autobots from outer space, we just killed everybody. It's basically what they did. I'm seeing folks sounding off saying it looks like Lions win.
It was a landslide.
Definitely the winner.
It was a landslide.
I mean, I see a lot of things, but it looks like
Lions won that clearly.
And yeah, Optimus Prime dying was absolutely traumatic. There's no two ways about it. And
he turned gray and like crumbled the dirt.
He did.
Oh, when he turned gray?
His head. Yeah, and his head just goes.
It wasn't real until that happened. Once his head turned, that was almost like the sign that he wasn't breathing anymore, even though he can't breathe. Like that's what that was. Absolutely. Dinobots were completely worth it though. Even if we only had gotten Grimlock, that would have been enough for me. You had Godzilla and Transor Z. Listen, Transor Z, not well known, I feel like, amongst a lot of people.
Okay, I know and enjoy Transor Z, and actually, there is a new cartoon that came out about a year ago, like a new feature film, because it was called Mazinger.
Mazinger Z,
There's like, if you guys seen the new Mazinger movie, it's like a year old, year and a half old. It's great. I was like,
is it really?
Man, I'm like, yeah. So it's like a feature film with Transor in it.
I'll take a look.
I've seen the case of it a couple of times. You know, I'm a Gundam fan, so like when I see like Giant Robot, like that's normally what I associate myself to. But I've seen that and just never took the chance to actually watch it.
Wow, no, you know it's funny. I don't hear many people talk about Gundam, but there's a wild fan base of just like, what Gundam do you like? I like UC. I don't. You know.
And that's what I love. And that's what I love about Gundam. It's just so many of them. So it's like Sin has his favorite. Like as much as Sin hasn't watched like a ton of Gundam, he has watched Gundam Seed.
Seed, I love Seed. Love Seed.
I thoroughly 100%. Like listen again. I'm that person that like my introduction to Gundam came from Transformers. It was all Jetfire. That's why I know what That's why I know what Robotech Gundam is because of Jetfire and Transformers. Like, you know, like I received Jetfire at Christmas one day.
Oh, my man, about to go get some.
Yeah, he is. I received Jetfire for Christmas, and I didn't know. Oh boy!
So this is sealed in the box. A fan bought this for my kids when they were like 3 and 5. Oh, they could put this together. I was like, thanks.
That looks like Iron Blooded Orphans, I think it's from. If I'm seeing that on.
It says Gundam Rebake. What is this?
Look on actually. Oh, that's one of the new ones. Does that say 1/100 Re on there? I think no, it's just 1/100. Gundam Rebake.
Iron Orphans. You're right.
Yeah.
So this was given to me for my kids when they were like little tiny dudes, and I was like, thanks. I appreciate you buying. These are kids that they're getting like basic toys and destroying them. Like, geez, thanks for.
Yeah, you're not giving me that.
No.
You don't do that.
Well,
that look like a Gundam version of Goldar from the Power Rangers to me, Joe.
My kids, they got the Playmobil Ghostbusters building, the fire hall, like 3 years ago, and my wife sat for 4 hours and put this whole thing together. And then within 20 minutes, my kids tore it to pieces.
Yep. Nope. Yeah. Not doing that. Sounds like you have boys, because when I spend that kind of time putting together Barbie houses, they just play with it in the house. Like they don't tear it apart. Like that's just not one of the traits that they have. Listen, I wanna say yeah, exactly, J. Robert. These are Loaded Snacks Roadshow. This is worth this. This is what it is. We figured it out. Yep. It's brand new. Doug, I do want to, again, I want you to know Jason did actually shout out Silverhawks.
Yep, he did.
And I did love Silverhawks for sure. That was definitely my Thundercats in space for sure.
The Thundercats or Silverhawks was great, and I don't. It's just one of those things. It just never really was quite popular. But like, I remember the one girl with the crazy glasses with like shooting people with their damn guitar.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Right? I mean, listen,
yeah.
those we had that show. It was called Cops. It was called Cops.
That's
and it had like BP Best, Buttons McBoom Boom.
That was my man.
Mace. Like they were like 12-inch size, but fully articulated, like G.I. Joe, 6-inch size character, Big Boss, all of those. And eventually, like later on, like years later after that show went off the air, they brought it back as Cyber Cops because Fox had the Cops show that everybody knows with the Bad Boys theme song. That show was great. Listen, Cuddy, I see you in the chat. Wing it. Absolutely, bruh. Slap your hands to your thighs and put them wings out because you need wings to fly in space. I don't listen. We were kids. We didn't know. We didn't know anything. I don't think that's how that works. But yes, Alfonso, you're right. Bulletproof BP vest. Good stuff. Good stuff, y'all. Look, we actually do have topics for the show today. We're gonna talk about a couple of things. Here's where I want to start, and we have a pretty good group in the chat for this. So, Sin, you posted something to the Loading Snacks Facebook page earlier this week. I don't know if it was Sunday, if it was yesterday. It was probably yesterday. Must have been yesterday. About how Japan is looking into introducing litigation.
That was this morning.
Was that this morning?
That was this morning. Yeah.
All right, well, this morning. It felt like yesterday.
It's cool. It's good.
That's what age does to you. And J. Robert Dean Sectars were terrible. Centurions was terrible. Visionaries was terrible.
Ooh.
We go down the list. Mask was terrible. And I had all the toys. They were all terrible.
You're sitting right down. I had all these.
They were all
Sectars was like a glove, right? It was a glove. You had the insect glove with the little dude on the back, right?
Yeah, like you could I mean, listen, we can go down that road. We can talk Thunder Punch He-Man.
No, we need to.
The caps in his back. And battle damage. He-Man, where you hit him in his would change. Yeah, it was bad. So Japan is looking at introducing litigation to hold cosplayers to copyright law. And I kind of want to feel out the room on this. We talked about it a little bit in the pre-show before we went live. But I kind of want to get an idea of Sim, what are your thoughts? You posted it. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, of course I threw it out there because we know a lot of cosplayers and just wanted to hear, we know what they had to say about it for the most part. But I mean, thought about it a little bit, and as far as where like I stand on it, like I just think that, you know, the IP holder should get something. If you're going out there making money with it, then I mean, it is what it is. Now, I wouldn't like, if they're out there doing like charity work, visiting hospitals, I'm not trying to hit them over the head for a whole bunch of money and nothing like that. But like,
sure.
You know what I'm saying? You out there making some serious cash and doing birthday parties and gigs and all type of stuff. Okay, then you gotta like you said before we even started, like you didn't have nothing to do with create this character or anything, and you just put on the outfit to look like him, and you run around making money off of my design and my hard work. So right. I'm cool with it, honestly.
Jokes, what do you think?
I'm a little bit in between. Like, I totally get it from, you know, owning, you've created something, you own it. Like, I totally get that. But at the same time, it's like I look at cosplayers are probably your number one of your number one promotions for said characters or whatever that someone dresses up as. I mean, I think all of us probably have gone to a convention. We've seen some awesome cosplays, and there's definitely been characters that we did not recognize that we ended up finding out what it was, and whether we ended up starting watching a show or something from it. I think that's awesome. But then at the same time, you have some people that do cosplay, and I don't want to say maybe inadvertently, but, you know, initially they started as being like, you know, awesome people at knitting, creating outfits, and doing these type of things, that it evolved into doing cosplay. I totally get it. You make it yourself, and you become yourself a business, and you're making money off of it. And I think it takes hard work. I'll tell you that much. We know the amount of hard work that a lot of these cosplayers put into their craft and what they do for it. I just kind of just like saying, like, I think it's just a little hard to manage that, because a lot of people, like, yeah, a lot of them have made a lot of money, but at the same time, on the parallel opposite, they've done a lot of good within the cosplay community, whether charity events, raising money for various things. I kind of sit in the middle, honestly, with it. It's just, I
certainly want to pick your brain a little bit, Jason, as an IP holder, right, of content that you've created. Sure. In the chat, J. Robert Deans is saying he thinks that would be difficult to enforce internationally. I don't think that Japan specifically is trying to enforce it internationally. I just think they're trying to enforce it
there
in Japan specifically. Mm-hmm. And he's also saying he's wondering if they're more concerned with some of the, in quotations, models who are moving into porn dressed as anime characters. I doubt it. Hentai's a thing.
It's a big thing.
There's money to be made.
And plus those are titled parodies. You can't really come at.
You kind of can't, right? A lot of times that's parody, so you can't really do anything with that. Yeah. Larry, what's up, Larry? I didn't say hi to you, but what's up, Larry?
Ellis in the chat.
If you're benefiting financially, then you could pay a license fee, and I understand that. Alfonso's saying, why now? I'm gonna get into that. Ellis, they better pay, huh? I mean, Marcus says he don't think it should happen. Well, here's where I'm at. Personally, for me, I think that, again, they're talking about introducing the litigation. It hasn't happened yet. But the article that I read, because once Sin posted the article, I started to research it. And the article that I read that I felt like covered it the best really did focus on several very, very high-profile cosplayers who cosplaying is essentially their job. It is how they make their living. There were people who they have listed there who make upwards of like $90,000 US a month just doing cosplay, doing appearances, doing cosplay. And we're talking about this happening in a world where conventions basically don't exist anymore. And so, Alfonso, that's part of why now. I think the why now is because the IP holders, who might normally see the traffic or the people, if they have, their voice actors going to conventions and there's money coming in and there's some sort of a percentage that comes from maybe the convention or the show or something else that's happening that they see, and that's not happening, right? And cosplayers would. You're both right in things that you brought up, specifically with you, Jokes, that, yeah, you would see cosplayers that do attract a lot of attention when they're at a convention or something. But let's be real about it. The majority of people here, not in Japan, it's a very different market. Yeah. Here, most people in the United States have no idea that cosplay even exists. They don't even know it's a thing. So it's not the kind of thing that, like, even though there are people here who make an insane living doing it, it's not the kind of thing that the U.S. government is going to go, well, wait a minute, right? And we also tend not to really own the IP of the characters people tend to like dressing up as the best or the most, unless you're Disney. And then it's a little different. But I think that there is something to be said for the idea of you profiting from the work of somebody else. Mm-hmm. Like you said, there's no denying we have tons of great friends who are not just great cosplayers, but also are great creators. They have great artistic talent and ability and so forth. But it's not like they're using that talent or ability to necessarily create characters of their own. They are using it to bring somebody else's character to life in some manner, some way, some shape or form. And I do think that if you're profiting from it, especially enough that it's all you do, you probably owe something to that creator. And I don't think you should be upset if if you love the property that much, I don't think you should be upset that then some of that profit goes to them. It's essentially like you work for them, which I would think.
Hey, that's a win-win to me.
Yeah,
that's a win-win.
So, Jason, again, as an IP holder, right? You have Lords of the Cosmos, and we did talk about this a little bit pre-show. You know, if you go to a convention, right, and you're at a table, somebody walks up to your table and wants to shake your hand, and they happen to be cosplaying as one of your characters. That would be awesome. I don't know that you would necessarily be like, "Hey, that's great, but you should pay me." That's cool, but pay me, right?
So
where do you fall?
So I think this is a great question, and I appreciate the pre-show conversation because I was staggered with the money you were talking about. So, you'll know it's wrong if it's wrong. So, for example, if someone is wearing costumes at shows and is like, "Hey, check it out! Like, I love your stuff." Like, that's awesome. Like, it's gonna feel good, and they are promoting for you.
Right.
However, when they start saying, "I'm making $30,000 a month because I'm using your idea," at some point, and I think, and I'm not a fan of him, but this always sticks in my head with these arguments. Edwin Meese was a guy in Congress. There was hearings in the 80s about pornography, and they said, "Well, how do you know what pornography is?" And he goes, "Well, I don't know, but I know when I see it." And I think in cases like this, you would say something like, "Okay, so, you know, a guy dresses up as one of your characters. He comes as Lords of the Cosmos. He comes as one of the characters." I think that's really cool. If I find out that the guy's making $50,000 a month off of something that I created, I'm probably going to be like, "Where's my share?" So if you look at like cosplay and characters, and I'll look at like artists, right? So when you go to conventions, when we had them, you'll see guys that all their art is fan art, right? So it's Batman, you know, whatever the popular flavor of the month. Like I remember 2019, it was all of a sudden there was a ton of Black Panther art because Black Panther had really struck a nerve, and it was like you'd never seen any Black Panther fan art, and then it was just everywhere. Before that, it was great. So I mean, there's kind of a rolling thing of what's popular at the time. You know, maybe WandaVision would be that now. And there are people that make a lot of money doing fan art, like posters and prints, because they'll go like this. They'll say, "What's popular? Okay, it's this," and they'll make that. And they make a ton of money, but I always kind of look at that and look, I have some fan art too. I try not to have too much, but I have fan art. It's a cheat code because if you roll out and say, "Hey, I have the newest, most popular it," right? Maybe, you know, whatever it is, because it's always changing. It's an easy way to print money.
Correct.
Now, at some point, there is a legal equation. So my dad worked for Armstrong for many, many years, and I remember that when I was a kid, they were involved with a lot of asbestos litigation. And I remember my dad told me, and you know, I'm probably not being 100% accurate, there was a number that if they got sued for, they would just pay out. And almost all the lawsuits they were getting hit for were like a little bit less than the amount because their lawyers said this money isn't worth fighting you and you and you. Now, if someone asked for more than that, they'd take you to court. So someone, you know, is making fan art and selling, you know, Black Panther, Groot, WandaVision at a show, and they make $500 in a weekend. I don't think Marvel's going to send a lawyer, not right now. But if they start making $250,000 and Marvel hears about it, they may say, "Hey, cease and desist." Right. So I think part of it is there is no black and white answer, but you'll know at some point. So if someone's making $90,000 a year because they're dressing as the most popular characters, you know, and here's the thing. So I have Lords of the Cosmos, right? It's a tougher nut to crack because people, you're at ground zero. But if you have, you know, Transformers or Voltron, there's millions, if not tens of millions of dollars of marketing that back those properties up. So if I'm like Darth Vader, you guys are like, "I know that." Yeah, because they spent $1 billion promoting,
making it, putting it in front of you.
Yeah. So when you draw that, like you have all this behind you. So to me, there's the difficulty of I have, you know, stuff, you know, versus I'm going to make up my own ideas. It's a totally different ball game. And you'll see guys that are creating their own things. And they tend to get less attention because people, the fans, want to say, "Hey, man, like, I know," again, whatever that is at the time. You know? So I think at some point, the guy that's making $90,000 a year dressing up as the most popular stuff, he probably owes someone something. Now he's going to have to pay taxes, but should he pay does he owe DC, Marvel, Disney, whoever money? Yeah, probably. And if I were them, I'd say, dude, if you're making that much money, you got to pay.
Yeah.
But if you guys dressed up as characters that people knew, and it was just, hey, here's some guys having fun, what are we gonna do? Sue you because you wore a suit? No, that
Right.
helps me.
Right.
So we go. So I think at some point they'll know it when they know it. We find out you're making that much money, and I think that the big IPs probably have enough eyes on these people that they know the girl that's got 6 million followers on Instagram, and they know that she's
Absolutely.
so they could probably say, hey you.
The other thing that's tricky about that is that most of those people are not hiding because they hashtag everything they post, and they're hashtagging the IP owners.
Yeah.
Hashtag Marvel, hashtag Shonen Jump, hashtag, you know what I mean? Like, they're not hiding. You know what I mean?
I heard a story, and it had the ring of truth that, like, and I think it might have been Adam Hughes, that he was doing covers for DC, and he was making limited edition prints at shows. So he would do a cover, and then bring a print of the cover to big shows, and he would, like, sell these things out at a premium price instantly. And the rumor or story that I heard was that he was making so much money that I guess DC came to him and was kind of like, hey, you know what? Like, we got to make a deal. Because it's cool you're doing this, and you're our guy, and you work for us, but, like, you guys are doing too good. So you got to give us a little taste, because now you're so successful. I want to taste. And I think, and like, I don't know that to be 100% true, but I heard it, and I'm like, okay, Adam Hughes does great work. I could see that would. I've heard it. Yeah, and it's like, so would the IP holders say, hey, you're making $30,000 a weekend with these Wonder Woman covers? Like, where's our money? And I think
you gotta give us.
So maybe the thing is, maybe what we don't know is maybe the people you're talking about are tagging these IP holders, and it's kind of like, maybe there's already kind of like a, hey,
something true.
Yeah, maybe you need to.
I mean, look, I think
we don't know.
We do see some of that. Like, we've seen Marvel reach out to cosplayers and do covers that they release with cosplayers. We see, like, the Disney Plus has the 616 show where you see cosplayers. Cutie Pie Sensei is, like, in the show, and they're showing her making that transition from her normal everyday life into her cosplay and showing the work and effort and so forth that she puts into it. So, I mean, again, I just think it's an interesting thing, and obviously we'll see where it goes. It may not go anywhere, but I think that if they do it, it won't be something that only happens in Japan. That's why I'm bringing it up.
They'll probably hit.
That's why I'm bringing it up here.
Next, and then over here after that. I think Europe is like the second biggest cosplay market after, like, Japan.
Yeah. Here's what I need to know. Okay, hold on. Ellis said Disney Marvel team has that monitoring in place. They have absolutely. I know they do. Yeah. I absolutely know they do. They have their eyes on the people that are drawing in enough attention and advertising that they're on it. So there was a little bit of bad news that came earlier today. We got the good news of the new trailer for Godzilla versus Kong. Everybody seemed to be excited about that. I'm not yet, but we'll get to that. Then today, they pushed it back. Now, they only pushed it back a week, which is interesting. But feel free to sound off in the chat who wins, Godzilla or Kong. I want to know. I just want your opinions. You don't have to give me, like, I don't need a dissertation. Just put a name in the chat. I just want to see where this goes. Sin, Kong, or Godzilla?
You know what? I think I'm going with Kong on this one.
Jokes?
I think I'm going to be indifferent in this, and I'm going to put my money on Godzilla.
Okay. Jason, do you have a favorite? Kong or Godzilla?
I don't know how it's not Godzilla. It seems like a very obvious choice.
So, here's the thing. In the trailer, Kong lands the mollywop.
Oh, yes.
And
I was wondering,
like, yeah, Kong. Here's the other thing. Kong is huge. He's way bigger than he was.
Been some time since Skull Island.
Way bigger than he was. Because Kong and Godzilla are basically the same size. And I'm going to tell you what it looks like is actually happening. Okay, so Larry says Kong has brains. Is Godzilla dumb?
No,
I don't think he's dumb.
J. Robert Dean says Team Gojira. Gojira's not in this. We're going Godzilla. 2 L's. Ellis says The Rock. That's probably true. But that was Rampage. That was a different movie.
Right. So we're going to put that one for Kong. We'll put that one for Kong.
What? Yeah, Larry says Brains versus Brawn. Marcus said he had a whole essay ready. I believe that. That's why I typically said I don't want a dissertation. Here's the thing. Supposedly the trailer has not shown us Godzilla yet. Have you guys heard this?
Yes. No, I've not heard that.
Check this out. Word on the street is that's not the real Godzilla. That is a Mecha Godzilla. And if you watch the trailer,
you see
one that might explain why Godzilla is so small compared to what we think Godzilla
really
size to be. But you can actually see parts in the trailer where it looks like they have built a Godzilla. And in the original Godzilla, Mecha Godzilla, he was wearing like a skin over top, and like he tore the skin off to reveal the robot underneath.
Okay.
Yes.
And it is beginning to appear as though Kong has only been fighting Mecha Godzilla.
And then
real
have to jump him in the end. You know,
there has to be a team up.
Yeah, they're gonna jump.
I'm cool with that.
I'm so in. You said it's gonna be an event in my house that day when it drops.
Dog,
I'm already
we get to enjoy
plans
that at home. Like this is.
I'm making. Hey, look, I'm gonna watch the Skull Island, the last 2 Godzillas. I'm watching them all right before. I'm gonna have a whole binge day. I cannot wait for when it drops.
Ellis says, "I can tell you who's not winning the box office."
Oh,
but which one? Terrible Ellis. But 2, does that mean HBO Max is winning? And that's a perfect segue into the next thing, because rumors abound that there is a Harry Potter TV show in the works for HBO Max. And I have a couple of issues. One, I need to know does anybody think that this TV show is actually going to be tied directly to Harry in any way?
I don't think so.
No,
do you think they're actually making this show?
I disagree. I think they're going to work him in.
You think they're going to work Harry?
Yeah.
I think he'll be talked about, somehow mentioned or talked about.
Yeah, he'll be mentioned and talked about. Yeah,
I hope, because just like other these big universes, the Harry Potter Wizarding World is absolutely huge, and I would love to explore it a little bit more in a different side that maybe we haven't seen yet. But somehow it always, if a Voldemort or something like that always comes into play, then obviously the name of like Harry or something, it's got to be thrown in the mix.
I mean, you know what, J. Robert Dean? Is Potter still a thing? Is a great question. Because here's the thing: can this show beat out the controversy surrounding J.K. Rowling and some of the transphobic comments and so forth that, have been in the zeitgeist when it comes to Harry Potter merchandise as a whole, right? Like a lot of fans, a lot of people, like I've seen it over and over again. Like, they just pushed back the Harry Potter game that was supposed to be coming out this year, which looked like it was going to be really good and be a big deal. But I have seen people posting like, man, like I love Harry Potter,
but I'm not going to do it.
What I heard or what was said, like I feel like I shouldn't support it. But then I also don't want to not support like these developers and people who've been working really hard, on this IP or game, because somebody said something stupid and that person happens to be the owner of the IP. Do you think that this will be able to overcome that? And if you're Warner Brothers with HBO Max, which you're trying to make a viable streaming solution for people, are you willing to take that risk?
I think they are.
Yeah,
I think they are.
You think so?
Yep. I think the fan base is way too massive. I think they want to gamble on it. Yeah.
J. Robert hit where I kind of was thinking, like, is the Harry Potter, like, at some point, like, I get it. J.K. is the builder of this world, but I know there's probably been conversations behind closed doors about, you've essentially have ruined and tarnished the good name of Harry Potter because of the things that you've said. Like, you've created this world, but because of what you said, you have pretty much put a blemish on all that was good for it. So maybe it's, if Warner Brothers could acquire the property, I doubt she's going to want to actually give it up, because the Harry Potter, the whole world has still got a lot that it could potentially offer to us. But it's somehow, I think there has to be a way to kind of figure how they can move her away, because at some point you're going to have to come back to her. Like, she's created the IP, and as of now, we know in contracts and things that somewhere her name is in there about certain things or whatnot ever. But you're going to have
my biggest concern, if I was WB and she was still tied to the property, is not what she's already said, but what she might say in the future, right? That they don't have any control over. That would be my concern. We're gearing up. We're starting to do promotion and put money behind marketing and put it in front of people. And then the last thing we need is for her to say a basic statement on Twitter that just gets retweeted a few thousand times, that now it's being reported on at every news conglomerate, local stations, national stations, whatever. And your Warner Brothers, AT&T, you know what I mean? Like, and now all of this effort and time and work that you're putting into it, she could mess that up for you. So could they look at buying the IP from her? Yes. Do they have that kind of money? I don't know.
Well, she may not sell it. She just may say, I don't care. She just may say the answer is no. I don't care how much money you have. Which is
very true. And then the other thing about it is, if you get the IP from her, will people still care about the property if they feel like she's not the one creating the stuff in the world around it?
And I understand that fully as well, too.
If pull her away from it, if you don't at least establish, I don't know, give me 2 other writers who can write great stories in the wizarding world that aren't necessarily Harry Potter, to show that somebody else can do it and do it well, and that people will buy it. Not people will like it. People will buy it. People will spend money on it, okay? In spite of her. Then you can buy it from her and say, we have people in place that can carry this forward. Otherwise, you'd be wasting your money, is my thought. That's my thought. Look, Ellis says he hates putting money in her pocket, but butterbeer is delicious. I understand, sir.
I understand that too.
And look, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at Frosty's comment also. Like, I hear everything y'all saying. I just don't have as much faith in humanity that if they just put out the TV show as it is, it'll be a hit, because it's like I said, it's just way too many Harry Potter fans that are just gonna get behind it regardless.
They're gonna consume it. There hasn't been, other than like Fantastic Beasts, there hasn't been anything in the Harry Potter world other than that. And like, now we're waiting on the third one to come out, but that one is getting the backlash because of what they did to Johnny Depp. So it's kind of it's kind of in that, almost in that same boat. Now, granted, different situation, but it's just one of those things that you have to see how that's going to play out. Whereas who they replaced him with is a fantabulous, I use that term, a fantabulous actor. Hey, I know. But it's like, that character was Johnny Depp, and my man Johnny Depp,
he's out. I mean, listen, there's only so much Captain Jack Sparrow you can put in every movie he's in. I'm just saying, I like him.
Hey, if Tim Burton releases another 10 movies, he's going to be on all 10 of the movies.
He absolutely will be. And I will watch him do Edward Scissorhands in all of them. I'm okay with that. Listen, so, all right, here's the thing.
Yes, J. Robert, fantabulous.
Warner Brothers, again, we've talked about this multiple times when we talk about what Warner Brothers is and has been doing with DC, where they fit into the mold when you compare them to Disney and what Disney does, and Disney's ability to actually pull in very, very young, a very young audience and retain that audience, because it is about audience retention more than anything else, right? And Harry Potter is a property that is ripe to be put in front of a young audience and hold on to them and retain them for a very long time if it's done the right way. That being said, I don't know that Warner Brothers can do it, because they can't even do it with the properties they already own.
True.
And so while they might manage to get the early teen, preteen, and up, you know, they're probably the finniest group on the planet, the most finicky group on the planet, that age range. And what they like and what's good and what's cool and what's popular changes so fast, right? That if you don't do it and do it right, strike while the iron is hot, you're going to miss that opportunity. You have to be able to have something that will hold them, again, from a young age, and then have content that holds them further on, which brings me to Peacock. Jokes?
Yeah.
I will take it from. I can take it from here. So, you guys know I'm the resident wrestling fan here. So,
Indeed, you are.
If you're not familiar, WWE has a thing called the WWE Network. $9.99 a month, you get access to this huge library of wrestling throughout the entire. I don't know how many years you want to say this on there, and you get access to all the live pay-per-views. So, WWE has officially sold the rights to the WWE Network to NBC and will be streaming exclusively on the Peacock streaming service. Now, as of now, this is only going to be in the U.S. The WWE Network, in the way it is, will still exist outside of the U.S. and all the other markets, but here in the States, if you want access to your wrestling content, you got to go through Peacock. Now, for me,
Sort of. I mean, the stuff that's on TV,
the live shows as of right now, so like Raw, SmackDown, NXT, that type of stuff will still stay and play the way it is for now. I would say there's an interesting thing. I'll talk about that in a second. But as of the shift, the way that it is, for me personally, I see this as a win in multiple categories. Now, me as a fan that streams other content outside of wrestling, if you currently have the network, it's going to transition over into Peacock's base plan. So whereas WWE Network was $9.99 a month, the Peacock base plan is $4.99. Now, granted, it does have ads, but you essentially are going to pay less to have access to the WWE Network than it was before. But if you want, Peacock also has their Step Up, which is $9.99 a month. That's ad free. So essentially, what you're paying now for the WWE Network, you will pay for Peacock. And now you have more than just this wrestling content. You have TV shows, movies. You have all of this stuff. And just like Ella said, $1 billion over 5 years. Like, so WWE is not upset at all that they're going to have someone else hosting that content. I'm eager to see where it goes, especially with just like Gage said, the live TV shows, especially for the one, SmackDown, of course, is on Fox, and I feel like that one's like,
what's up, Jimmy?
is the interesting one, because apparently also ESPN was in the running to possibly, or I should say Disney was in the run to potentially acquiring this and adding it on like ESPN Plus that you can access it to, but they went with NBC, and ESPN has as soon as that happened, they have severed ties with WWE and is pretty much not doing anything, and it's not doing any content coverage or anything like that right now.
So here's the thing I find probably the most interesting about this, because when I started really looking into it, for me it was like, all right, what's in it for WWE? And it's a lot of what we talk about consistently. You got to go where the people are. So WWE Network has existed since 2014. Okay. They are almost at their birthday, February 2014. Okay. And they average 1.5, 1.6 million subscribers. Okay. Which is a lot, but in the grand scheme of subscription services, that's not that big of a deal. When you compare that to what Peacock has hasn't even been around for a year yet, okay? But they already have over 15 million subscribers. As of last September, they had 15 million subscribers, a lot of whom are free. But they managed to grow from 10 million subscribers in like July to 15 in September. That's 5 million. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
Jimmy just went there.
2 times what they've been able to do as WWE Network in a couple of months. You know what I mean? Over a number of years. So comparatively speaking, it's a smart move for the WWE for 2 reasons. The payout is one thing, but I mean, let's be real. Vince McMahon owns 35% of the company, right? But he has 80% of the vote. So his say-so in what happens with the company way outweighs any other shareholder, right? Shane's out completely. Like, I don't know what happened to Shane.
That was a whole. Shane left to do his own thing, and then it didn't pan out. Came back, but as you can see, he's not anywhere to be found, other than a few times he comes back.
Yeah, but he sold all his shares, so like
you're kind of out.
He doesn't have a face, right? But here's the thing that's crazy about it. Shut up, Ellis.
Hey, my man do his study.
And listen, hey, Roberts, you're right. That is less than voodoo. Oh, hey, Jimmy. Get out of the comments, Jimmy.
I was waiting for him to come back to it.
Yes. ESPN was not trying to buy the network. They were trying to buy the company. And right now it looks like there's a good chance that NBC Universal is probably going to put in a bid to try to buy the company outright. Because right now they're paying somewhere between 2.4 million and 2.6 million a year. And they do that over the next 15, you might as well just buy the company. And the thing for them is market share. Right? Like they need to keep wrestling fan base is a little disgusting. They're rabid. Right? And if for WWE, if you can take all of that content and put it in front of 15 million people, automatically, the number of people who might just click on it because it's there and become addicted to the content week after week, pay-per-view after pay-per-view, much better for them as a whole. For NBC, it's just a matter of we can't afford to let HBO Max get it. Right. We can't let Netflix get it. We definitely can't let Disney get it because Disney already has so much strength in ESPN that if they get it, it might be a wrap. Trying to wrestle it out of Fox's hands. See what I did there? Listen. That one was for you. That was for you, Sam. Trying to wrestle it out of Fox's hands could be super tricky. But eventually, I don't see why not. I mean, I don't see a world where they couldn't present enough money. Really, if they could really honestly, all they have to do is have WWE make whatever show Fox has, which is SmackDown right now, correct? Mm-hmm. All they have to do is treat it like the Fantastic Four with Marvel.
That's
just
true.
Stop putting your heavy talent there. Just make it not worth it for them to bother fighting for it. Right? And then you sell it. You get rid of it because it's not doing anything for you. I mean, that's really the easy way out. The stuff that's on USA Network, NBC Universal owns them anyway. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. That can stay right where it's at.
It's really just Fox.
Yeah.
And Raw so is the flagship now, show. The big thing is, who talks to Kenny Omega to put their money on AEW and pull them into a streaming service? Because somebody will. And it ain't going to be NBC Universal. trust the bid's got to be out. It's gonna be out there.
Yeah, somebody's gonna want it. It's like even though it's only a year worth of content. Right now, someone will gladly take that year worth of content and continue to build on it. Especially breaking into with these other companies that they're potentially going to have these relationships with, like let's say for example, Impact Wrestling. Like they have their own service that you can subscribe to. Obviously, it has a lot of content behind it, but it's not a lot of people don't go to it the same way they would to the WWE Network. So if you say that, hey, we're going to take this AEW content, let us get that Impact content, let us all put this under one roof, and let's run from there, and we start grabbing wrestling promotions from other places and doing it. Because Impact, this was the funny thing with Impact always is I give them props for doing this. I mean, it is what it is. It's a business move. But every time something major happens in the WWE with someone that was there was one Impact that did big things, Impact always puts out some type of video package or this throwback of this person's greatest matches or something. I kid you not, it will literally happen the same night. Something like when AJ Styles showed up in WWE, Impact, like that was like, hold up, let's go ahead and let you guys watch these throwback matches of AJ Styles right quick, so you can see what this guy was truly all about. Off the break.
Smart.
I mean, listen, Ellis is making some good points that AWE isn't here to make money. I'm gonna disagree with that. But
they want to make some money, but
listen, again, you're here for the fans, right? But there's only so far every other wrestling like promotion can go. Like otherwise you end up swept under the rug by WWE. So if somebody else can put the money behind it, you want to have the thing to compete against what NBC Universal now has.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it comes down to. So even if you give them run to still do it the way they want to do it, you want to have the rights to show it. You want to have the rights to stream it. You want to have the rights to put it in front of people because NBC has it. And NBC is just giving away subscriptions with Peacock because anybody that has Xfinity already has Peacock. Like that's like you already have, like I have it. I'm not paying for it. I have it. And I'm not going to watch it for wrestling. However, there are group like just kind of doing a little digging, right? The company that has the largest share in WWE that isn't McMahon also has a huge share in Disney. They don't care where it goes. They don't care where it goes.
They gonna get that money.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. And when you don't really know what your ability is going to be like over the next year to continue to do shows or sell out venues or move tickets or whatever else there is, your best bet is to do whatever you can do to get in front of as many eyes as humanly possible. So even if you're not here to make money, if you're here to continue to exist, somebody waves that check in front of you.
You gonna take it.
Go to where the people are.
I mean, Ella says AW is focused on a specific segment of wrestling fans while WWE is focused on getting money, getting every mainstream production or episodic show. I mean, there is no Loading Snacks Wrestling Show, Ellis. So considering you don't want to be a part of the Loading Snacks Wrestling Show if it does happen, because you made that very clear, here's the time and place. Look, I get it. I do understand that you're going after a different segment of the market, which makes sense because you're going after fans who are fans of being fans, which is fine. You still have to get in front of people, and any fans that you can get in front of that didn't know that they were fans yet is better for you.
Absolutely.
And so WWE now being more or less for free in front of 15 million people versus 1.5.
It's a win.
Stand for them to grow and take market share from anybody who was looking at anything else. It doesn't matter what you were looking at. Like the people who are on Peacock because it's the only place you can watch The Office now. See WWE content in front of them consistently. and they click on it, and next thing you know,
As they run them
or
ads,
their
them hype
friend or
reels.
somebody is a fan, and before you know it, they buying cheap plastic rings with rubber band ropes, and it's a wrap.
You know, use them hype reels as ads. After a while, you be like, "Hey, look, they hyping this for. I need to see what's going on and like
That's
cut
true.
that on." Yeah,
And sooner or later, you're gonna start seeing some of these stars show up on those NBC shows. Then it's gonna be like, oh wait, that's such and such from that WWE thing that be coming on Peacock. Let me go over here and let me check this out now.
I mean, listen, I don't know that it'll go that far, but I know that NBC Universal owns a lot of other properties and a lot of other places and can put WWE in a lot of other places besides. And considering WWE Network will continue to exist outside of the U.S., but not necessarily in the U.S., currently this is the battleground they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then Japan.
Oh yeah.
If you can get those markets, and by getting AWE you do,
yeah,
somebody's gonna go after that market. That's where I'm at. You know, we let you take your coffee break, J. Robert Deans. Coffee break is over. Would you like to talk about DC Comics at all? Because we can do that briefly before we shut the show down. AEW is not in the business of making money. Then they're not in business.
I was say
that's not what business is.
You gotta make
that
money.
Would be charity.
If you don't have that money, you can't.
Yeah, that's charity, right?
So that's a charity. You know, that would be a charity or a nonprofit, like a church or a dog rescue or something like that. That's not there to make money.
Indeed. The new DC Comics are fire. Ellis, I want to talk about the new Justice League for a minute. Are any of you guys familiar on the panel?
I have read the new Justice League.
You did read the new Justice League.
I read the new Justice League.
All right.
I have not.
I don't want to spoil it.
Nope, not gonna do that.
I guess the book really doesn't have spoilers, but like, what are your impressions?
Interesting take with the twist. So
wait, Future State specifically.
Future State, yes. Future State Justice League, yes. Future State Justice League. I like the cast. I like what they're doing with the different version of obviously some of your main characters out there. So your Superman, your Batman, your Wonder Woman, still those same names, but they're different characters in each one of their places for it. With the story of where it's going, at least what they've given us in this first issue, there is a twist. There is a twist in this issue that kind of sets up what the series is looking like that it's going to do. Personally, I didn't see the twist coming, but I'm interested to see how far this twist takes through the whole entire future state of the Justice League. If it's going to be a good change per se, or if it's going to be, well, when I say, I don't want to spoil it.
You know what, Jay Roberts? I'm not sure who's writing it. What I can tell you is that there are some base things that they're changing. So let me just kind of, you're tiptoeing, jokes. So we talked about the new Wonder Woman a couple of episodes back. Yara Flor, who is a Brazilian-based Wonder Woman who shows up when the original Wonder Woman she has essentially ascended to actual godhood, I guess you could say. I don't know if that's completely been explained, but she's not around.
Right.
So Yara Flor, Jonathan Kent, Superman's son, is Superman. Tim Fox, who is Lucius Fox's son, who was Batwing, is Batman in this iteration. The new Green Lantern, who's been around for like a year, her name is Sojourner Milan, something like that. Mullen, maybe Sojourner Mullen. And then there's a new Flash who is just going by Flash, but it is from
a different timeline. Came over
to Josh Chambers, who was going by like Kid Quick or something like that. Anyway, listen, let's not. Aquawoman, who is the daughter of Arthur and Mira.
Right.
So Aquaman and Mira. Okay. So that's your base
core of the
like those 6.
Right.
And based on what happened with the original Justice League, which they don't give you too much, all they really say is that the Justice League got too big. There were too many members. Somebody kind of found out some of their, I guess, deepest, darkest secrets, which they never tell you who that person is. I'm sure it'll be revealed later on. Mm-hmm. And that caused issues. And so now there are some new rules that have been set by the original Justice League for this Justice League, which are, this is the thing that I probably find the most interesting. The new Justice League, they are not allowed to fraternize
with each other
outside of Justice League work. They are not allowed to know each other's secret identities.
Mm-hmm.
They only come together to take care of the issues when the Justice League is called, and outside of that,
it's
operate in their own realm and do their own things. And these were rules that were set in place by the original Justice League based on whatever it is that actually happened to them that they haven't quite told us yet. And so that's the thing. But they seem to be, there's already a push. Like Superman's character is already saying, like, hey, maybe we should talk about having some more people join.
Come in.
And they're like, hey, we ain't supposed to do that. So clearly they're already talking about breaking the rules.
Mm-hmm. Rules have already been broken. The rules have already been broken.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not sure where this is going to go or even if it's going to stay. Future State is
it's a test.
A test bed.
It's a test.
Most of these characters are characters that people already know, and I think really the only one that's brand new is Wonder Woman, who I have a feeling is liked well enough that she's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
If that, you know what I mean? Like I don't think she's going anywhere.
No, she's not. They're putting a push behind her. I mean, she's getting her own show on CW. They're pushing her. Yeah, she's not going away.
So she's not going anywhere. So whether or not the Justice League Future State version pans out remains to be seen. Mm-hmm. I'm intrigued though.
That's where
I'm intrigued off of. I'm intrigued off of that right there. I want to see where it goes.
I want to see where it goes. Currently, I'm already not happy with the DC style of writing. Like I have already seen complaints where it's like literally there's a panel in the comic where the Green Lantern says to the rest of the team, like, you guys can go. I got this. It's been a long time since I've had a good investigation or whatever. Superman's kind of like, we should probably stay and help. Aquawoman's like, man, she said she got it. I'm out.
Let's dip.
You know what I mean? Like, ghost, right? Which is cool. I actually kind of like that. And then as Superman and Wonder Woman are flying off and they're talking about it, he's kind of saying, like, I think we should help her. And she's like, she's the best detective in the entire multiverse.
Mm-hmm. Let her have it.
And people are upset. They're like, you telling me this Green Lantern
is better than Batman?
Uh-huh. Yep.
It's better than Batman, Barry Allen, The Flash, The Question, Constantine. Like she's just the best detective. Like that's not just a statement you can just make.
Nope.
Without an explanation, right?
But we know how they just throw powers around.
Hey,
fact.
She doesn't have a utility belt yet. Maybe that'll come next, and then they can just start writing in everything. But she's got a ring, so I mean, she can kind of do whatever she wants to do anyway. So,
I have not read Dark Detective.
Me either.
Ellis, are you suggesting it?
I'll jump into that next.
I assume because you're asking in the chat that's a suggestion. Like you think we should read that?
Yeah, I gotta look at that. I got Batman.
You know that it's about what's actually happening with Batman.
Yeah.
With Bruce.
Yeah.
Specifically.
I got Future State Batman. I got to read Future State Batman.
All right, listen. J. Robert Deans. It might be more interesting than Apocalypse War.
I agree.
However, I need to make sure that you are in the chat on Saturday when we do our top 10 DC animated films of all time. I need you. I need you.
Yes. His reaction will be priceless.
So here's the thing. It's not really that the characters are set in the future. It's just another universe within the multiverse because now every universe that ever existed within the DC multiverse currently exists.
Right.
It's weird. It's not technically the future. It's just another
world and another multiverse somewhere.
Ellis, they're gonna cut some. This is literally them throwing everything pretty much at us right now. They're gonna see what sticks, and whatever doesn't stick is gonna end up just getting chopped.
Correct.
And that might take elements out of some ones that we like this, but we didn't like that. Okay, let's move that over into this, incorporate it here, and just build upon all that. Yeah,
correct.
Okay, can I say something? I still go back to when they made a big deal in the '80s to say it's crisis. We got to clean all this up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And now it's just like, whatever. We want it all back.
They just undid that.
That's straight
just
up.
Undid that.
Yeah. And can I say something? Kudos to you guys for a top 10 DC animated film. They're my favorite superhero movies. I like them better than like they're great. They're all
I agree.
great.
They are.
I agree. It's going to be a tough
so
conversation trying to delineate that down. We're going to spend we're doing it as part of a charity stream. So Uncanny Nerd is doing a 25-hour stream starting Friday at 8 p.m. going to Saturday at 8 p.m. Where there's going to be, different people on, art sessions, things like that. And people are going in and donating to a local charity for us here called the 3Bs Foundation, which is the Bosom Buddy Baskets. And what they do is they provide care baskets to women who have undergone mastectomy surgery after breast cancer.
Yes, Alice.
And so from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Saturday, the three of us and at least one other person are going to bring our personal top 10s together and then use those top 10s to decide what are the top 10 DC animated films. It will be a good time.
Wow.
It's going to be fun.
I think there's going to be an auction for an art piece during that time as well, from a friend of ours, Henry Brooks. So that ought to be cool. But listen, again, we'll put the information in the chat at the end so people can go because you can donate now. And tune in. It'll be on Uncanny Nerds YouTube as well as their Twitch and so forth. We are super interested in that. Ellis, you are maybe not wasting your money if you actually like the books you're buying enough, because if they make enough money, even if people say they don't like it, they might keep making them. DC again is in one of those weird kind of flux, with Warner Brothers in ownership and AT&T in their ownership, where they're having to make some changes and try to figure out what are the best things to do. And in the last 10 years, they have essentially restarted their universe at least twice.
Three, yeah.
And so because of that and those things not working, they've decided to kind of redo this, allow for like the golden age and so forth to actually still be canon and have existed by saying that those universes exist, but put some new content out to see what appears to be working and then move forward with that content, which also appears to be part of the strategy for their DC Extended Universe television and films, because just before they did Future State, Warner Brothers announced that they are going to have a multiverse for their movies and TV shows that will allow them to have movies that have Ben Affleck as Batman while they have movies that have Pattinson
as Batman.
And have TV shows that have Grant Gustin as Flash while Ezra Miller is still Flash, and they use Crisis on Infinite Earths in the Arrowverse to introduce that Flash into that Arrowverse to say, yep, these are different universes, they still exist. These two people are still the Flash. Yes, they're actually the same named character as well. So it's confusing. It could either be really, really dumb or really smart.
Yeah.
Really, really smart.
All in how to execute it.
I mean, look, it puts you in a position where if you decide you want to hire an actor or an actress to play one of your premier characters,
you can do it.
You don't have to lock that person. That person is not, they can't hold you and say, I'm your Batman. You need me. You got to pay me this much.
Right.
You can't keep doing movies without me. You need me.
Oh, really?
I'm Gal Gadot. I'm your Wonder Woman. You need me. You can't do this without me. right? They can say, nah, Slim, that's not how it works.
We going to another universe.
I got screen tests from this person, this person, this person, and this person as backups that we're ready to go. And we're ready to give them jobs on TV, on stuff that's going straight to HBO Max, in voiceover work, whatever. Like, they're just monetarily, it might put them in a great position. From a fan standpoint, it might be very confusing and make things worse. But we'll have to see how it pans out. And you're right. They might have to flashpoint all of it anyway, which they can always do.
Hey, that could be already that could always be in the plan. That we get this and it's just like, you know what? Go ahead, Barry, do your thing.
Exactly. All right, so here's what we need to do. It's time to wrap up. So before we do that, Jason, one more time, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. It's been awesome to have you.
Yeah.
One more time, please tell people where they can go to follow you, if it's on Instagram, Facebook, what have you, and how they can go and participate for the Kickstarter.
So on Facebook, I'm Jason Lennox Illustrator on Facebook, and then on Instagram and Twitter, I'm at Lennox Artist, Lenox, and I have the Kickstarter pinned up on all those things. So if you want to use Google, it's just Lords of the Cosmos 4 on Kickstarter. It's pretty easy to find. I have it on my website too, jasonlennox.com, pinned to the top right-hand corner of the page. So, if you like 80s stuff, if any of those things we talked about, touch a nerve, check it out. It's a fun thing. There's a little animated video trailer for it too. It's a lot of fun, man, and I appreciate you guys having me on. Wish we could be in person, but this has been awesome. I've enjoyed hanging out. It's been fun.
We gonna make it work somehow.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Kickstarter's 316 away now.
Hey.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Jokes.
Oh no, I was just telling them Kickstarter's 316 away now.
$316 left.
Awesome. Oh, and for the record, I'd love
again the Kickstarter. Yes,
I'd love to come back on sometime when I'm not promoting something because I just enjoy talking with you guys. So if we want to argue about cartoons, something like that,
sure.
bring me on anytime. I love it.
Bet.
Absolutely. We would love to have you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Kickstarter is in the chat for anybody who wants to click there and go. Again, by all means, please do that. Sin, you have a job to do.
Yes, let's go ahead and shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, Tyrone Carson. Thank you very, very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
We do. We greatly appreciate you. Jokes.
Yes, sir.
You have another job to do. So if you would please.
Job done.
Again, in the chat is our link tree. So again, whether you are watching or following us on YouTube or Twitch or Twitter or Facebook, if you're not following us in one place, please go to those other places and follow us there. It greatly helps us. We certainly appreciate you tuning in from wherever you are, however you are. It means the world to us. We enjoy having these conversations with you all. Marcus, we are not starting a new hashtag.
He's trying for it.
Right.
Talking change is not a thing. Again, you guys just heard me talk about Saturday, but again, Saturday, 10 to 12, Uncanny Nerds, Twitch, and YouTube, top 10 DC animated films of all time. We're gonna put our foot in it and have some heavy discussion. J. Robert Deans, I completely expect you to be there. I would love for all the rest of you to be there too. Just J. Robert Deans, we got
hashtag put the Rock in the movie.
Gotta have you. Ellis, I think the Rock
that was Rampage.
He's got his hands full with the Scorpion King remake that we don't need. So let's not go any further. But I tell you what, if you would like to send me one of those wonderful bottles of the Rock tequila, I'll take it.
Some wrestling alcohol.
That's some good stuff. I actually have the bottle right next to me, as a matter of fact.
Thank you, Larry. Glad to have you. So listen, let me just give you guys a heads up. So Thursday, we will be doing cutscenes. We'll have our video game show. Plenty to talk about there. We will be streaming. We're playing Streets of Rage 4 on Twitch, 8 o'clock Friday night. So if you're an old school beat 'em up, old Genesis, Mega Drive, whatever it is, fan, watch us play and probably get beat up. Playing Streets of Rage 4 from about 8 to 10. And we're going to have to cut it off at 10 o'clock because we're going to have to record our impressions of WandaVision. So I want to remind everybody, if you are here and you are not already a member of the Loading Snacks MCU chat, Jokes, could you drop that
I got them to get that one too.
For me, please. A lot of you have joined. MCU chat has been growing very quickly while WandaVision is running.
Yes,
We have an area in MCU chat specifically for spoilers. So if you want to go there and not be spoiled, you can. But if you want to be able to have a conversation with people who have already seen the episodes and are talking about those episodes freely, we have a dedicated space for being able to talk with spoilers in that area. And every Monday at 10 a.m., we are putting a condensed version of our impressions into that chat so that people can watch what we think. This past week was a doozy. The full version, if you would like to see the full 45-minute to an hour discussion on each episode, that is available in our Patreon. So if you are a patron, you can watch that there. We've been getting some pretty good feedback about that. And I'm just going to say, I think we may have decided Wanda's the villain.
Oh, no, we decided that. No, we decided that. She is the villain.
So very interesting chatter there. Again, so Thursday, cutscenes. Friday night Twitch, 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Top 10 DC animated movies. Monday, MCU chat for our WandaVision impressions. Right back in the next Tuesday with weekly. We are planning out all of Black History Month. We are going to have Black creators on, at least on weekly, every week for the month of February. And I already have people lined up for Women's History Month in March. I have some wonderful creators that we're going to bring on in March. Already lined up for that. So you guys just kind of keep your eyes peeled, look for that. We are also doing a Black History event in conjunction with Comic Logic in Virginia. That will be the third Friday in February. And then we have a business expo we are doing a panel for in April. Things are moving. We are staying busy.
Doesn't matter.
And also, Gage, also I have my Valentine's Day to celebrate romance and anime miniseries getting ready to drop. Hopefully starting next week.
Next week.
Yep, next week. I do it every year with Loading Snacks. I watch 4 random romance shoujo animes and just see if they're as good as people say they are, and give them the anime vote treatment, pretty much. Yeah. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for that reminder, because there's a lot to remember. There's a lot going on.
Teamwork.
Okay. So with that, we're going to close out the show again. I greatly appreciate everybody who was in the chat. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you all in our chats and on our pages, and again on Thursday. With that, we are out. Toodles and loos. What it do, snackers and snackettes? Did you like what you just saw? Would you like to help us grow? Here's what you can do. Shoot over to patreon.com/loading snacks, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on your favorite platform of choice. Appreciate you.